Part 50. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 500. Smith took the people downstairs, and the whole person was very angry. He also considered himself to be a high-end person in society, and all the people he came into contact with were polite. Even if it is impossible to talk, everyone will greet each other very much. The upper class has a way of expressing anger in the upper class. And a person like Lu Feng definitely made him unprepared. He was so scared that his heart ached for a moment. When he was abroad, he was most afraid of meeting someone like Lu Feng. You don't know what the situation is in this country, what power they have, and often killing you is just a handful of lois in a foreign country. Getting in the car and raising the window, Smith breathed a sigh of relief. A man next to him said, "The local business community doesn't understand the rules." Who are these people? I can see that he doesn't want to talk at all, and we can't guarantee our personal safety now. I suggest reporting to the embassy and applying for protection, and we can't give up like that. Smith looked gloomy, looked out the window, and found nothing unusual, just took out a cigarette, lit one, lowered the window, and said, "What you said is not the most important. First contact the consulting company to find out who this person is today. The details, go back to your residence." Lu Feng stood upstairs, watching the three cars drifting away. His face was expressionless, and Feng Xiao next to him said, "You are in big trouble. It's not too big to say it's big, and it's not too small to say it's small." Lu Feng didn't care at all. People will definitely communicate directly with President Zhang, and then President Zhang will no longer trust you. Feng Xiao sighed, sat down and said, "People give a lot of money, and the local area is willing to promote cooperation. You want to take food from it. It is as difficult as going to the sky. Once you lose the trust of President Zhang, everything will collapse. Don't worry, he will still believe me." Feng Xiao couldn't understand why Zhang Wanmen continued to believe in him. If it were him, he would have kicked Lu Feng away immediately when he heard the situation, and let the municipal government talk on his behalf. A few hours later, Smith finished the phone call with Zhang Wanmen, finished today's story, and expressed that he was very angry and would report this matter to the embassy. They felt that their personal safety had been violated. After hanging up the phone, the consulting company put a copy of Lu Feng's English report in front of him. Smith looked at it and was a little shocked. "Are you sure this is true? It took a few years from a small workshop. Grow to this day?" Smith was very skeptical. People from the consulting company said that this person is very famous in the domestic electronics industry, and at the same time has a very bad reputation, and what is inside is absolutely true. Smith felt that he had met an unprecedented opponent, followed by a summary of Lu Feng's behavior. In short, he was trying to get everything he wanted. If this person is placed on Wall Street, he will definitely be a fierce wolf. Smith put the folder aside and said, "What do you think he looks like?" The people present frowned and thought and shook their heads. In their hearts, there was no one similar to Lu Feng. Like a Western cowboy, but he's not cool at all. "A cowboy who is not cool is terrible," Smith commented. "This person has his own business, and it has nothing to do with this side. Why does he have full authority to represent President Jiang's business negotiations?" another person wondered. "The data shows that the two are brothers." "Brother? Brother? No, it says half-brother and half-brother. Anyway, according to the information given by the consulting company, this person likes this kind of brother very much, and he is a bit of a corner." Everyone present was blinded. Half-brother. Huaxia civilization is broad and profound, Smith could only sigh. Zhang Wanmen just finished communicating with Smith, and then the municipal government called. After chatting for a long time, he hung up the phone. President Zhang called Lu Feng non-stop. "Mr. Lu, why did you almost get into a fight? I heard that you pretended to be a social person to threaten people's safety, and people were scared to report it, President Zhang said eagerly. Originally, he was very happy when the VCD was developed, but during this period of time, the pulling and mediation of various forces has made him very tired. Many things are not as smooth as he thought. Once interests are involved, it is really surging in all directions. Brother, I can't tell you clearly on the phone. Come here. I'll do things for you. I'll definitely do my best to do it. You can rest assured. Come over and I'll wait for you in the living room, Lu Feng replied. On the phone, okay. Okay, let's meet. Half an hour later, Zhang Wanmen appeared downstairs, wearing a gray jacket, his hair was messy, and he looked several years older. He is not a kind-hearted person, and now he even regrets getting VCD. He used to have a good income, but now he has tossed so many things. Going upstairs, Lu Feng was already waiting in the living room. The waiter pushed open the door. Lu Feng stood up, stepped forward, grabbed his hand, and said, "Sit down first and have a drink." "Mr. Lu, why did you almost get into a fight?" President Zhang sat down anxiously. "Let me tell you, this is a negotiation tactic. If you have good words, the other party will not agree to your conditions at all. As long as you dare to ask for a little bit, he will definitely directly propose not to invest. This is psychologically called a disaster effect. To make a simple analogy, two people quarrel, your voice is louder, he is louder, and then gradually escalates. It may really start a fight. If the other party dares to improve a little business, you just find something and smash it on the ground. The other party will I definitely wouldn't dare to act rashly. The effect of smashing the pot is that there is meat in the pot, and you want to eat it, and I want to eat it, but I can't distribute it. At this time, one person is required to preside over the distribution work. Don't eat it if you don't listen to it, you understand, it's just to calm him down. Just set up a scene with the social people. When you go in, you just smash the wine bottle and scare them. Once you can't be scared, the end will be tragic." Lu Feng explained to Zhang Wanmen the motivation for doing these things today. Feng Xiao stared at him while listening, and could only secretly cry out that he was arrogant. He had never heard of this theory, but Lu Feng's statement was very convincing, and it was generally the case in the negotiation arena. Mr. Zhang nodded secretly, looked at Lu Feng and smiled a little embarrassedly. "I'm under a lot of pressure, and it has to be professionals like you. I have behaved so badly today, and the other party didn't leave. What does this mean?" "It means that there is room for negotiation. Negotiation is an art. First, set the conditions to be completely unacceptable to the other party, exert extreme pressure, and then give some sweetie, it's done." In fact, it is the theory of sticks and sweet dates, but Lu Feng didn't prepare any sweet dates for Smith's team. "I'm a foreign guest, and it affects a lot. I was told by Mayor Han just now that I was entangled with you. I could tell that he was not very satisfied with you. He told me that he wanted to eat with you in the evening." Emil Zhang Wanmen said. "Take me out to eat?" Lu Feng nodded and said, "Come on, this matter can't be rushed, don't worry, although there are many forces, but we have the initiative. I will definitely be able to help you win this negotiation perfectly. I believe you now, brother. You have a lot of trouble in the society. Some of the doorways are more familiar than me. Coupled with an elite like President Feng, I am very relieved. You're right to believe me. Remember, no matter who provokes the relationship between our brothers, don't believe it, they all want to profit from you," Lu Feng persuaded bitterly. "Benefits are lard. Heartbroken. You are telling the truth. Some people around me have begun to persuade me, and I feel that I am at a loss." "Yes." Lu Feng smiled happily. In the municipal office, a man in his 40s sat behind the desk, with his head erect, white shirt, and looked a bit refined. "What does this Lu Feng want to do? How did he get here?" Chang Wang slapped the table angrily. On the opposite side stood 5 or 6 leaders in charge of the city, and everyone was afraid to take a breath. How did he get in touch with Jiang Wanmen? What is his purpose at this time, at this juncture? I also think something is wrong. I have heard of this person. The person in charge of investment promotion said, many private companies in the electronics industry have not rated him highly, saying that he is a scumbag in the industry. I have also read some newspapers, saying that he is a shit stirrer. Is a flattery, just a piece of shit. The key is that this piece of shit is now on our heads. I think he just came to grab it. In some cities, his management ability is average, but he has a lot of disgusting people, and this person does things for those people. The VCD industry must not run away. Anyone who doesn't bully people like this will be sent to grab it. Everyone was chattering, and Mayor Wang rubbed his temple with a headache. He took a deep breath and said, I'll have dinner with him at night, send this shit away, and then mix it up a few more times. It's really going to be yellow. Mr. Jiang believes in him very much now, and I have persuaded him. He told me that he is a big businessman, not a liar. Just got in touch. No one can say anything. Everyone present had a headache. Lu Feng's current identity was impeccable. He was the boss of a private enterprise and a man of the industry. When an ordinary person is faced with a problem, he is so helpless, and his ears are full of voices with various purposes and interests. Suddenly Lu Feng appears, behind him is a light. He is not bad for money, he is selfless. Help you, who doesn't get confused. Let's ignore that. All departments will cooperate well and prepare to focus on the VCD industry to create a new urban industry. Mayor Wang leaned on the chair and said, this meal tonight, I have to say anything about this living ancestor. Sent to Hefei. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 501. Lu Feng has his own set of theories about negotiation and foreign capital. This set of theories is perfect. In short, foreign capital is using the US dollar to acquire patents in developing countries. They will pay a very small price to get the biggest gain. Lu Feng chatted with Jiang Wanmen from several aspects such as international monetary policy, Wall Street investment strategy, and the development direction of the world's high-precision industries. Feng Xiao, who was sitting on the side, heard exclamations in his heart. Lu Feng seemed to have a special understanding of these things that ordinary people can't touch. Lu Feng said so much to President Jiang, just want to tell him that the other party is too fat, don't be afraid to bid too high to scare people away, how thick they are, with your little knife, you can't kill them at all. After listening to Lu Feng's analysis, Mr. Jiang froze and said with emotion, I didn't expect Mr. Lu to see so much. I used to think that businessmen were mercenaries, but I underestimated them. Businessmen like me are few, too few. Most of the businessmen look like what you say, Lu Feng said. Feng Xiao sat on the side with brilliance in his eyes, staring at Lu Feng as if he was looking at another person. It was already dark outside. Lu Feng glanced at the time, it was already 6:30 in the evening, and said, since we are going to the dinner party, let's go first, the provincial mayor Wang is waiting. It is good. Everyone went downstairs and drove to the hotel, Jiangguo Hotel, and the designated hotel for municipal hospitality. Along the way, Lu Feng chatted with President Jiang a lot, including his views on the future. Lu Feng is very clear that if he wants Jiang Wanmen to fully believe in himself, there is only one way, and that is to conquer. Completely conquer this person in terms of thinking and vision. Only in this way will he not question Lu Feng and follow his own path to the dark. Lu Feng does not understand technology, but he understands the future industrial development trends better than anyone else, especially domestic research and development, the disadvantages of state-owned enterprises, and social reforms. Mr. Jiang kept applauding along the way. He didn't understand some aspects at all, but he also knew the way. Lu Feng gave some solutions of his own. After thinking about it carefully, experts didn't have such a good solution. After getting out of the car, Mr. Jiang's eyes on Lu Feng changed completely, as if the young man in front of him had the world in his heart, including the universe. Many opinions made him, a learned man, secretly exclaim. Really? No one's success is casual, with two brushes in hand. President Feng, please come here. Lu Feng greeted Feng Xiao. Feng Xiao came over and saw that Zhang Wanman's gaze towards Lu Feng changed, as if there were many little stars, which contained respect. Feng Xiao could feel President Jiang's feelings for Lu Feng, because sometimes, Lu Feng does have unrivaled charm, but President Jiang's appearance is obviously captured. He was very surprised. It was only half an hour away. What method did Lu Feng use to turn an engineer into his fanboy? After entering the lobby and entering the elevator under the leadership of a foreman, President Zhang reminded, "Brother, Mayor Wang attaches great importance to VCD. You can talk to him later." "Will Team Smith come?" Lu Feng asked. "It should come. With such a big thing happening today, the municipal government hopes to take the lead, be a peacemaker, and solve the problem," President Zhang replied. Lu Feng nodded, thinking that he had already made up his mind about this dinner. When they got to the private room, Mayor Wang hadn't come yet. 7 people from Smith's team had already arrived. They saw Lu Feng walk in and just sat in their seats and watched. Smith looked at Lu Feng, and he looked at it from head to toe as if he had seen Lu Feng for the first time. Lu Feng pulled out a chair and sat opposite Smith. There were 7 people on the opposite side, 3 people on this side, and 10 people staring at each other with expressionless faces, and no one made a sound. The atmosphere in the private room was extremely depressing, as if it was going to dry in the next second. Lu Feng and Smith stared at each other intently, neither blinked nor looked away, their eyes were full of aggression. Feng Xiao was a little uncomfortable being stared at by the other party. After seeing this for a minute, he looked elsewhere. The most important consideration for this kind of staring was his psychological quality. As for Mr. Jiang's defeat sooner, he talked to Smith in person before, and promised that he was not a businessman, so he was ashamed. After agreeing, he asked Lu Feng to negotiate, and he naturally did not dare to look directly. The 7 people stared at Lu Feng. Lu Feng leaned back on the chair and shot back sharply. The scene was quiet for 5 minutes. Lu Feng stared at them and moved the plate in his hand. The crisp sound of the spoon hitting the plate broke the atmosphere, and the 7 people's eyes quickly stared at the plate, their faces full of alertness. "What are you afraid of? Will I still hit you with a plate?" Lu Feng asked with a sneer. After Feng Xiao finished translating, Smith was stunned for a moment and said, "Mr. Lu, you have your own company and industry. You should be very busy and shouldn't be here. I'll go anywhere, and the company will take care of it. No matter who you look for, it won't change anything. It's just those 2 conditions, yes or no, it's that simple," Lu Feng said solemnly. "We don't accept threats," Smith raised his voice as he stared at Lu Feng. "I'm not a threat, this is business. When you come to our place, you have to follow my rules," Lu Feng choked back. "I read your information, and I know you're a damn bastard," Smith shook his head and said, "but your tricks don't work for me." "Really?" Lu Feng was delighted and said in English, "I will break your legs and then heal you. If you think it's okay, then give it a try. I've been to 27 countries, don't expect your tricks to get rich rewards on me," Smith shouted. "You all say I'm a bastard, then I'll show it to you, damn it." Lu Feng stood up and picked up the plate and smashed it directly on the other side's head. The other party did not dare to fight back, for fear that this was a trap. They all ducked back, causing chaos in the box. When Lu Feng wanted to beat someone, President Zhang and Feng Xiao pulled him. "Don't do it, it'll be a big deal if you do it. Cannot fight. I can't beat him even if I beat him. Can't beat the golden retriever? I was at the gate of the school, What kind of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple have not been beaten? Lu Feng yelled, but he didn't smash them at them, but kept smashing them under his feet, with the sound of breaking. A young man from Smith's team who was going abroad for the first time was already squatting in the corner with his hands over his head in fright. Smith was the only one standing staring at Lu Feng. "What are you doing?" The door was pushed open, and a roar came in. Mayor Wang walked in with a livid face, seeing the scene was in a mess, and looking at a few foreign guests. They were so frightened that they got under the table. Smith said directly, "He threatened my safety and threw dangerous objects at me." The person next to him translated it, and Mayor Wang stared at Lu Feng, gritted his teeth, and shouted, "What are you doing?" Lu Feng pushed away President Zhang and Feng Xiao who were pulling him on both sides, and said without blushing, "He called you a fool, I'll stand up for you." Lu Feng. Lu Shidu. Lu Shizu. Mayor Wang stepped forward and asked, "If he didn't scold me today, you'd get the hell out of me overnight and go back to where you should be." Lu Feng's heart skipped a beat, as if he was being framed by the other party's words. Mayor Wang was very happy in his heart. He didn't know how to deal with Lu Feng at first, so he couldn't force people out. Now that he delivered it to the door himself, don't blame himself for being rude. Ask him, "Did you scold me?" No, Smith hurriedly explained, "What respectful mayor, to pay tribute to you and express condolences to your hard work. The flattery that comes out of the capital world is Western style." What else is unclear? Mayor Wang looked at Lu Feng and said, "I have heard of you, chairman of Jiafeng Electronics. No matter what capacity you are involved in this matter, after eating this meal Fan, leave here overnight, and don't interfere in this matter again." No, Lu Feng showed a smile on his face, looked at Mayor Wang with a silly smile, and said, "I'll." The explanation is not clear, the two sides have stuck you to death, Feng Xiao reminded, "Just get off the hill." Lu Feng's mind was spinning rapidly. He suddenly turned his head and stared at Smith and asked, "Did you call me a bastard?" Smith was also taken aback, feeling that this matter was insignificant, and generously admitted it. "He called me a bastard. What country am I from?" "What country are you from?" "I am an ordinary citizen." "He called me a bastard, and he called you an idiot, so he cursed," Lu Feng said very seriously. "I can be as good as you." Mayor Wang shut up halfway through his speech, which was very incorrect. "What's the difference between us? Do you think you're stepping on me, not a piece of land?" Lu Feng asked in a low voice. Mayor Wang was so nervous in his heart that he was framed by his words, and he took a deep breath and said, "I'm really sorry, I'm laughing. Sit down. What are we sitting down to talk about? It's all for the sake of development, for the sake of building blocks for world peace." The people around him have called in the waiter, cleaned up the broken glass, and came in with 2 new sets of cutlery. Now it seems that the polite state of you and me has returned. Feng Xiao sat down, gave Lu Feng a thumbs up, and said in a low voice, "Hi. That is, Lu Feng. The average person is really left here on the occasion just now." Mr. Zhang sat on the side and was secretly shocked, saying that it was really exciting to be by Lu Feng's side. As the cold dishes began to be served, Mayor Wang said some polite words to Smith, mainly introducing the local history and culture and expressing his welcome to foreign investment. Looking back, he talked and laughed with Mr. Zhang, and even asked Feng Xiao a few words with a smile. When he got to Lu Feng's place, he directly pulled his face and didn't ask. Emotional control is in place. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 502. Smith also knew some things in the country. He was surprised that Lu Feng didn't give the leader's face. Based on their understanding of the country, the leaders were gods, and anyone who saw them would be afraid. If Lu Feng had a factory or an industry here, he would definitely be respectful to Mayor Wang. He doesn't even have a hair here, what kind of face do you give him? In Lu Feng's heart, Mayor Wang was not even as good as the county magistrate in his hometown. His hometown was there, Lu Feng's parents and Zhang Xiaoyan's family were all there, so he naturally had to be polite to others. It's better for the magistrate to take care of it now. It's okay to scold the foreign boss. You go to make fun of your village chief. It's a ghost if you don't interrupt your leg. The most uncomfortable person is President Zhang. He is from here and is still the director of the research institute. Faced with the pressure from the municipal government, his pressure is indescribable, especially when Lu Feng was about to pick up a plate and beat someone. He was almost scared to death. Our place has a deep heritage and has a lot of talented people in history. Just say one, Bao Zheng, Bao Qingtian, that's when everyone gave a thumbs up and said an honest official and an honest person. Mayor Wang put the two integrity. He bit his words hard, looked at Lu Feng, and said, so, people in Hefei have a natural sense of justice in their hearts. Smith kept nodding his head, staring at Lu Feng. He doesn't belong to us. Mayor Wang hurriedly dismissed and said, our municipal government attaches great importance to this investment, and sincerely believes that the investment will be successful and become a trickle of water. It will eventually become a vast ocean, setting up a positive example of foreign investment. Smith is obviously very comfortable with this way of speaking, and said with a smile, we also firmly believe that this cooperation will be a complete success with the vigorous promotion of both parties, and we are very confident in VCD technology, and we are very confident in the mainland market. I am confident, I have more confidence in the municipal administration of the city, especially with an excellent person like Mayor Wang as the leader. It will open up the next Silicon Valley for the world. Ha 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 ha. Mayor Wang laughed, obviously very useful, to create a Silicon Valley by himself. It is more than honoring the ancestors, it is simply the perm of the ancestors, with blue smoke on his head. We will also reuse outstanding talents like Director Zhang, and continue to explore new technologies. Mayor Wang looked at Zhang Wanmen and said, Xiao Zhang, you really showed your face this year, and you don't understand business cooperation. You can find someone locally, there's no need to bother Mr. Lu, they have a big business and are very busy. I'm not busy, Lu Feng put down his chopsticks and said, I can't be free this year. Zhang and I are always good buddies. It's just a favor. I heard that your company is in crisis. A few years ago, I read the science and technology news and said that it is going to close down, so go back and do your own business. Mayor Wang persuaded with good words. Yeah, it's about to go bankrupt, and it's a waste of time, so I'm here to help him with something. Lu Feng looked at him and said with a smile, I'll leave when I'm done with this matter, and I want to report to you one thing. From the perspective of international investment, they don't really invest a lot of money, and they have finally developed something that can't be sold at a low price, right? There's no bargain sale. I think it's a good deal. What do you think? Do you know anything about business? Lu Feng asked. I used to be the secretary of a large state-owned enterprise. Do you think I understand? Mayor Wang said, staring at Lu Feng. Lu Feng scratched his head with his hand and hit the muzzle of the gun himself. Thinking about it, it's right. Now, the focus is on promoting leaders who understand the economy. Isn't Huang Youwei the reason why he hit the wind? Then you don't understand me either. I'm in charge of this matter. For our city, there are only advantages and no disadvantages. Don't let it go, Mr. Lu, I'm afraid of you. Mayor Wang hugged Lu Feng from the back and said in a low voice, don't bother, there's no oil or water in here, just do your own thing. I'm right, you still understand. If you are sent from Suzhou, Dongguan, and Shenzhen, don't even think about it. If you irritate me, I will report it. Lu Feng frowned and said, if there is water or not, men are like this. As for what you said, I don't quite understand. Mayor Wang never dreamed that he would talk to him seriously, and he would tell him this. He is a serious person. He hates people with dirty mouths the most. His expression changed, he raised his hand and hit Lu Feng on the back, and shouted, "You give me a clean mouth." "You beat me." Lu Feng looked at him with a grieved expression, and said, "You, a leader, beat me. Your mouth is not clean. I didn't hit you, I just patted you on the back. Isn't that just beating? Your spine hurts when you punched me. Believe it or not, I'll lie down for you. Do you still report it? I have to find the media and say that you beat people with foreign devils, and I report it too." Thinking I didn't. Is it a channel? Lu Feng looked at him with a rogue look. Mayor Wang's chest was congested in panic, and it was so painful to hold his breath in his chest, but he really didn't dare to do anything to Lu Feng. "Lu Feng, if you keep messing around like this, sooner or later someone will kill you." Mayor Wang gritted his teeth. "You want to do me? I'm just like this, I'm just like this. You find someone to beat me, and after you beat me, I'll take care of you. You have the final say in this place, and out of here, there are many mayors outside. Someone can think about what happened to you day and night," Lu Feng told him very frankly. Mayor Wang kept telling himself in his heart that he must not care about such a rogue. He came here just to play a rogue, and now there are many people in many places expecting something to happen to him. As long as something happens to him, those investment projects will fall apart, and the reputation will be stinky. Once the city misses the critical period, it will be over if the development opportunities are missed. "Director Zhang, tomorrow." "Wait a minute, I'm his agent now. What do you have to say to me?" Lu Feng said to Mayor Wang. "I have full authority. I'll talk to him about his family affairs. Are you also acting as an agent?" Mayor Wang was angry. Lu Feng was speechless. There was a lot of chat at the dinner table, especially in the future industrial planning, where a very big job was done, enough to see the determination of the local municipal government to make a beautiful turnaround here. Without Lu Feng, the city really turned around in the 2 years of 1994/95, and was once regarded as a new industrial area for the electronics industry. However, Wang Yan in the last life really lacked commercial vision, and was hit by low prices and piracy, especially by some small and medium-sized pirate companies, who used low-cost, colored CDs to have no living space. Don't underestimate colored discs. 90% of buying VCD now is to watch this stuff. People only want high-level spiritual needs after they satisfy the most vulgar sex. I don't know the market, I don't know my opponents, I don't understand user needs, which led to Wang Yan's collapse. Even after 20 or 30 years, some business courses will use Wang Yan as an example, because it is too classic, a classic cases of patent right loss, market failure, and industry failure. Mayor Wang and Smith's team were polite, and they pointed to Zhang Wanmen, hoping to avoid Lu Feng and go out to talk. "I'm sorry, I'll go to the bathroom." "Excuse me." Mayor Wang stood up and looked at Zhang Wanmen, cleared his throat, and walked out. After a while, Mr. Zhang stood up and said to go to the bathroom. In the private room, only Lu Feng, Smith's team, and 2 escorts from Mayor Wang were left. "Mr. Lu, don't think that your rogue means can work. Let me tell you, this city takes this matter very seriously, and I hope you have self-knowledge." A man in his 40s reminded. "I'm here because I don't have self-knowledge. I don't know where you are. It's normal to want to do things for the leader. Just don't mess it up." Lu Feng took a mouthful of spinach and ate it. Said, "I dare to sit here and challenge. Naturally I have the confidence. You want to stand out, or you want to make the people below come forward. Even if something happens to me, you can sit in your seat and you can count me for nothing. Mix. You're young, and your tone is not small." Another person next to him said, "Scare me." "I didn't scare you, let me tell you the truth. I've also traveled all over the world. I've met big people and tough little devils. I've seen more people who want to show their loyalty and climb up. Lu Feng put his chopsticks down, chewing the cold dishes. He smiled and said, "Brother, I'm still unscathed. Do you think it's strange? The two of them are also old-fashioned. They know who can do it and who can't. They know that Lu Feng is playing a rogue here, and they are also qualified to be a rogue. Try someone else." They had been thrown out long ago, but now what they are afraid of is that Lu Feng came here at the behest of people. Once he was moved, the person standing behind him would jump out immediately. In the bathroom, Mayor Wang washed his hands and said to Mr. Zhang next to him, "Do you think that Lu Feng can maximize your benefits? Let me tell you this, the city truly treats you. I know, but I don't understand this, and I want him to help, and Mr. Lu is very professional, especially Mr. Feng next to him. Mr. Jiang's mind is in a mess now. He is surrounded by people now, and everyone tells him that they are good to him, and everyone else is here for the benefit. All he knows now is that Lu Feng has no interests, and this person is here to help him. He knows what the city plans to do. No one cares about him. We will fully support the development of VCD. If the asking price is too high, it will scare away the other party. Now it is very difficult to introduce foreign capital. We need to have an overall view. On the surface, Lu Feng looks like a rogue, but in fact he has a very delicate mind. No, he actually wants everything." Mayor Wang persuaded bitterly, "Don't be a fan of the authorities, go back and think about it." "I must. He's still in a mess. You should have read the reports from a few years ago. Jiafeng Electronics funds are tight. He put down his own business and came to help you. You are not a 3-year-old child, and there is no free lunch in the world." Mayor Wang sighed and said, "I used to work in state-owned enterprises and deal with businessmen. I will tell you a truth. Those who hold on to their own interests are not ruthless characters. On the contrary, some businessmen do not come out for money. They either tell you about brotherhood, or they act like charity. This kind of person is the most terrifying." Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 503. Mr. Zhang was even more confused after listening to what he said. He couldn't tell which of these people was good and who was bad. He was a researcher and knew a lot about interpersonal relationships. But in this game, it was all master moves, so he seemed a bit stretched. Back at the dinner table again, Mr. Zhang sat beside Lu Feng and looked at his face, but couldn't see anything. "It's not too early. Today's meal is mainly to clear up misunderstandings. President Lu and Director Zhang told me that starting from tomorrow, the business negotiation will be dominated by the municipal government. Thank you for your efforts. In the future you will also have a share of the credit for the completion of the VCD industrial base." Mayor Wang raised his wine glass, greeted him with a smile, and said, "I respect you." "Ouch, I can't make you respect this." Lu Feng hurriedly stood up, looking like he drank too much and was swaying. He said politely, "I am also helping, I believe. I will definitely help President Zhang to negotiate, leave this to me, ugh, no problem." Lu Feng's vomit made Feng Xiao hurriedly push with his foot, and the chair moved back abruptly against the floor tiles, making a harsh sound. "Mr. Lu, I don't need your help in this matter." Mayor Wang raised his voice and his face became solemn. "I know, it's all up to me." Lu Feng's voice fluctuated a lot, as if he couldn't control the volume of drinking. He picked up the wine glass and touched it with Mayor Wang. Half of the wine in the wine glass was spilled, and said, "I'm also doing it for the good of our city. I'm wrong with these foreign devils today. I know the impact is not good. I bow my head, I apologize." Lu Feng looked at the Smiths and said, "Saorui. I've done it." Lu Feng was bored after he finished speaking. Mayor Wang really had no idea about Lu Feng. This man is a hedgehog. After many confrontations in a wine bureau, the other party avoided them. The dinner was over. In the lobby, Lu Feng put one hand on Feng Xiao's shoulder, and most of the people leaned on him. Mayor Wang and the others were polite to the Smith team for a while. When it was Lu Feng's turn, Lu Feng stretched out his hand and shook it with a smile on his face. "Good luck." "Me too," Smith said, staring at Lu Feng. After sending the foreign guests off first, after getting in the car and leaving, Mayor Wang stared at Lu Feng with a cold eye, and took the people away without looking back. President Zhang seemed unable to lift his emotions. "Mr. Lu, why are you drinking so much?" Mr. Zhang felt guilty and said, "Is it too much trouble for you?" Lu Feng waved his hands and said, it's okay to be a brother, don't trust him, really don't trust him, look at him like that, I can't wait to build a base tomorrow, and put it in the newspaper. After the year, he has a paper transfer order, what will you do?" Mr. Zhang only sighed. "I know you're under a lot of pressure. You can just pretend to be dead, but you can't pretend to be sick. Go to the hospital for a period of time, leave it to me, and I'll mediate with them." Lu Feng looked at him and asked, "Do you believe me?" Later President Jiang's voice was much weaker, and his mind was a mess now. "It's good to believe, go back and rest early, give me 20 days, and help you negotiate," Lu Feng said solemnly. "Trouble, I definitely won't be able to sleep tonight, you go to bed early, I'll go back." Mr. Zhang looked at Lu Feng and said, "Can you go back, or I'll take you?" "No, there is President Feng." After being polite for a while, Zhang Wanmen drove away. Lu Feng looked around, stood up straight, and said, "Go back." "You didn't drink too much?" Feng Xiao asked in surprise. "I just drank half a caddy of white wine." "How much can I drink?" "Let's talk about it after." Getting in the car, Lu Feng opened the car door and sat in. Feng Xiao drove back and saw in the rearview mirror that Lu Feng was leaning on the seat and closed his eyes. He felt something during this meal today, but he really didn't understand what was going on. He knows one thing, if today's protagonist is him, he will definitely be sent away tomorrow. This man, who was not a few years older than him, always handled all this with ease, which made him secretly admire him. Lu Feng was no worse than him in what he learned from books. Lu Feng dumped him a few streets away in terms of the dinner party and the sophistication of people. "Brother Feng, are you feeling uncomfortable?" Feng Xiao asked in a low voice. It was the first time he called Lu Feng that way, and he was a little uncomfortable. Lu Feng opened his eyes when he heard the name, looked at Feng Xiao and said, "What's your name, Brother Feng?" "My dad said let me learn from you, you are older than me." "Whatever you want, call it what you like." Lu Feng leaned on his seat and continued to stare. Feng Xiao grinned happily. Since he was a child, he was the youngest son because he was rich and he was naturally the most favored. He never put anyone in his eyes. In addition, he has studied well all the way, and has regarded himself as a high-ranking person for many years. It is the first time to call him a brother when he has grown up, and he is still willing. After returning to the hotel, Lu Feng took a shower and tossed and turned on the bed, unable to fall asleep. This dinner party made him understand that he couldn't directly take the city's face off. If you do this, it will never happen. People have prepared things to praise themselves. If they take away the VCD, Mayor Wang will definitely try his best to keep his face here. You have to stay here, or you won't be able to take anything with you. As for foreigners, it is not difficult to say that it is difficult, but it is certainly not easy to say that it is not easy. In another hotel, in the conference room, Smith brought all 7 people. This time the person in charge of the consulting company was also present. A woman in her 30s, dressed very smartly, held several folders in her hand for everyone. "Here. We have conducted an in-depth investigation on GFN Electronics. According to our information, Lu Feng did not suddenly want to help Zhang Wanmen, but came prepared. Some news shows that when he attended the electronics conference last year, he mentioned VCD technology to the executives of GFN Electronics. At this year's opening conference, he directly said that the focus of GFN Electronics this year is VCD. It's enough to see that this person is not staring at this technology for a day or two, and it can also be seen that he is very optimistic about the implementability of this technology, why he does not directly participate in the competition, but uses this method, behind the scenes. The reason is GFN's predicament. GFN Electronics has been established for more than a year, and the debt ratio has not been reduced. There is not enough funds to compete. This person's business skills are very unusual. He has no education. According to public information, this person only has a 5th grade degree level, starting from a small canning workshop, in the early stage, relying on the application of investment promotion policies from various places, carrying out high leverage operations, and successfully making GMA Foods a major domestic food manufacturer. Character analysis: adventurous, activist, loves venture capital, especially likes high leverage to leverage profits or markets that are more than 10 times greater than his own. Because of his background, this person has no rules in doing things, is extremely slick, and carries a lot of money bottom breath. Smith and a group of people looked at the documents. The introduction about Lu Feng was very detailed. These consulting companies had a lot of information in their hands. Smith focused on GFN Electronics, and a group of people discussed it. I found his weakness, Smith said with a smile on his face. What are you going to do? The person next to him asked curiously. Drag. Bring him down. He doesn't want to get the VCD to save GFN Electronics fire. Then hold on, I can talk to him here for half a year, or even a year, Smith laughed sinisterly. When other people heard this move, smiles appeared on their faces, indicating that this move was very high, and it should not change. The meeting was over at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, and Smith felt a lot more relaxed. As long as he knew his opponent, he would have a way to deal with it. Lu Feng was a veteran, and he was not a simple person. Find the opponent's real pain point and hit hard, and there will be unexpected gains. The next day, after getting up, Lu Feng asked the waiter to buy a local newspaper. Some important newspaper headlines were all related to VCD, and they were very popular. What a pioneering move, what independent research and development, such a small step, a big step in domestic scientific research, and even some newspapers advertise that this is just the beginning, and the next few years will see the flowers blooming all over the country. It's all compliments, mixed with news from some municipally led market research institutes. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Lu Feng had changed into his clothes and sat in the conference room. Feng Xiao sat next to him and asked in a low voice, "Brother Feng, what should I do later?" "It's the same as yesterday." "What if they agreed?" "Then raise the requirements and talk again." A few minutes later, the door opened, and Smith led someone in. His blue eyes saw Lu Feng full of jokes, his hands were in his pockets, and he walked like a sloppy one. Lu Feng frowned secretly, thinking in his heart, why does this foreigner look like a second-rate? Smith sat down on the chair with Erlang's legs crossed, shook his head and whistled, and didn't speak at all. "We still have the 2 conditions from yesterday. I hope you will report to the headquarters, otherwise there is no need to discuss," Feng Xiao said. Smith shrugged and said, "Okay, I also reported it to the headquarters. You know, big companies have many processes, and it takes a long time to go through a process. If you want to talk about something else, just talk, and if you don't want to talk, just stay." Hearing this, Lu Feng said, "Damn, how come you still learn to grind foreign workers?" "Mr. Lu, I'll tell the truth, I earn wages, I'm on a business trip, and I still have subsidies, I'm not in a hurry, I drink tea with you every day, exchange the culture of the 2 countries, and I earn money." "Very happy to." Lu Feng's face darkened, the other party wanted to drag him down. The two groups of people just sat there shaking their heads, no one said a word, and sat abruptly for 2 hours. When it was time for dinner, Smith stood up and said to his subordinates, "Go eat." Feng Xiao looked at Lu Feng and said anxiously, "What should I do?" Research. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 504. For 2 consecutive days, the Smith team was in this state. They didn't speak when they came, just sat there shaking their heads, as if they were a group of cooks, standing up and leaving when it was time for dinner. There was no progress in the negotiation work, and the other party seemed to be exhausted. The local municipal publicity work was proceeding in an orderly manner. The 2 machines were running at the same time, as if to throw Lu Feng aside. Mr. Zhang couldn't resist the pressure, but he still listened to Lu Feng's suggestion, and announced to the outside world that because of long-term work fatigue, he had to enter the hospital to recuperate and adjust, and he would not see any guests. All affairs were handed over to Lu Feng to take care of it. At noon, Lu Feng's face was ugly while eating. Feng Xiao couldn't eat while sitting opposite. Faced with this situation, no one could do anything. This thing was not developed by Lu Feng. President Zhang wanted Lu Feng to stand out, but he himself did not. Not in a high position, without the right to speak. This thing is basically over. Putting down his chopsticks, Feng Xiao sighed and said, "Brother Feng, your arms can't twist your thighs. People insist on pushing forward. You can't stop it. As you said, it's like marrying a girl. My daughter is not happy, she's in the hospital." Lu Feng couldn't take it anymore. "But my mother-in-law is happy, the bride price is high, the social status is high, and it's good to talk about it. How about you?" Feng Xiao looked at Lu Feng. "What's wrong with me? My competitiveness is not weak, but my background is not good. If I have to use this metaphor, I am a phoenix flying out of a mountain village, and foreign capital is at most a second generation rich in the city. If you marry, which one will you marry?" Feng Xiao asked. Lu Feng has nothing to say. The cooperation in the last life was a joyous one. The 3 parties were very happy. Foreign capital married a beautiful wife at a low price. The wealthy in the... Now that Lu Feng is doing this, it's no different from a third-party intervention, but he has to find a way to get in if he can't get in. Feng Xiao picked up the chopsticks and said while eating, "I also have a headache recently. I thought about a lot of possibilities, and even called my dad. He said that this is not easy to do, it is very difficult." I said, "You want to do it?" He actually said that if you want to do it, you may succeed. "I'm not sure," Lu Feng frowned. The foreign-funded team is determined to be exhausted, and the municipal government will continue to promote it. In a few months, it will be done, and we can't wait that long," Feng Xiao said, the more and more troubled. He has learned a lot of business cases. But in the face of such a complex situation, what I have learned is useless at all, and my mind is empty. If you don't wait that long, who wants to play with him? Since you give me full authority, you can play with him harder." Lu Feng picked up the tableware and said, "Go to the municipal administration in the afternoon." "What are you going to do in the city?" "Looking for Mayor Wang." Lu Feng finished eating. After dinner, Lu Feng called the city office. "Who are you?" "Who are you looking for?" the other end of the phone asked. "I'm the general manager of Cole's Electronics Group. I had a phone call with Mayor Wang yesterday. I hope to talk again today." Lu Feng was very serious, he didn't dare to mention his name at all. In the past 2 days, Lu Feng called the municipal government several times. When he heard that it was Lu Feng, he hung up the phone, not to mention transferred to the office. "Okay, now help you transfer the internal line," the girl on the other end of the phone said, and transferred the phone away. The phone rang twice. Mayor Wang sat in the office and talked to 2 people about VCD. He picked up the phone and said, "Who is it?" "Mayor Wang, Didn't you go to the countryside for an inspection? Lu Feng asked. I called you for 2 days, and I said that you were in the county in the morning, so you came back so soon. Mayor Wang panicked when he heard Lu Feng's voice. He made Lu Feng unable to sleep for the past few days. If he hadn't been sitting in this position, he would have rolled up his sleeves and had a fight with Lu Feng himself. Mayor Wang was anxious, and squeezed his throat and said, Yes, Mayor Wang is inspecting below. If you have anything, I can help you write it down and hand it over to him when the time comes. The heads of the 2 districts across the table were dumbfounded, secretly shocked. What kind of person could force him to be like this? It's really ridiculous to say it. I'll be waiting for you in your office. If you don't show up, I'll wait to death. This matter is related to the development of national scientific research, and it can't be dismissed just because of your little idea. I'm not your enemy, and there is no one behind you. I just a simple citizen. Lu Feng was angry. Mayor Wang hung up the phone without saying a word. After hanging up the phone, Mayor Wang stood up and waved to the 2 of them. Speak in another place, the god of plague is coming, you can't hide it if you can't provoke it, go for a walk. Who is this, from the province? Is it that Lu Feng? He's a private entrepreneur who poops while riding on his head. Say less. Mayor Wang walked out of the office with an embarrassed expression. Lu Feng changed his clothes, stood at Feng Xiao's door and knocked on the door. When the door opened, Feng Xiao looked at Lu Feng and asked, Brother Feng, if we really go to the municipal administration, we're afraid that things will get out of hand and end up getting angry. I have a solution, Lu Feng said solemnly. What way? Feng Xiao was very curious. Find a backer and pull the flag. On the way there, Feng Xiao pondered the 6 words that Lu Feng said, but he still couldn't understand. Relying on these 6 words, can he be obedient to the city's politics? Brother Feng, what do you mean by those 6 words? You know, what was the most important thing in ancient wars? Lu Feng asked, leaning on his seat and closing his eyes. More people, more food. These are not the most important things, more important than these. Still important? Feng Xiao couldn't think of it. The teacher is famous. Lu Feng opened his eyes and said in a low voice, for example, to help the Han family, the descendants of the royal family, or to be ordered by the sky, before going on an expedition, a fortune-telling must be done. In fact, many people know that it is superstition, but it is necessary to one thing makes his teacher famous, or he is a chaotic thief. Feng Xiao seemed to have figured out something, and the car stopped at the municipal gate. Lu Feng got out of the car and saw several security guards walking back and forth at the door. He stepped forward and was stopped by one of them and asked, What are you doing? I'm looking for someone from the forestry industry. Lu Feng looked at the security guard and said politely, I'm from Guza village, this is my cousin, my name is Datu, his name is Ertu, he worked in forestry at the beginning of last year, and some money was not available. Not. Then you go to the forestry bureau. What are you doing here? I don't understand either. When we went to the forestry bureau, they told us to come here and said we were looking for a leader. I know someone and came here to find a relationship, Lu Feng said with a smile. I know, what's your name? The security guard looked at the 2 and asked, what's your real name? Do you still ask this? They told me not to let Lu Feng in recently. My name is Zhang Haiming, his name is Zhang Hepeng, he is looking for a leader to be accommodating, thank you, Lu Feng said politely. The security guard waved his hand and glanced at the 2 again. Although there was no smoke, he let them in. Lu Feng strode in, Feng Xiao trotted after him, and whispered, Brother Feng, these people feel crazier than the leaders, they just kept watching in my pocket. Forgot to buy cigarettes, it's fine. Lu Feng went into the hall to ask, then went directly to the 3rd floor, stood at the door of the office, knocked on the door for a long time, there was no one inside, the office door next to him opened, and a man in his 30s walked out, wearing a white shirt, looking a little domineering. What are you doing? You don't even look at anyone's office, what are you knocking on? We're looking for Mayor Wang. Not here, the man waved his hand, his face full of impatience and said, walk around, if you come to find them, they have to be there? Hurry up and leave. What's your attitude? What's wrong? The man's tone suddenly hardened. It's okay, Lu Feng grabbed Feng Xiao and said to the man, we'll be leaving in a while. When the man entered the office, Feng Xiao said unhappily, it's easy for him to be beaten for talking like this, you know. But people just talk like that, and they haven't been beaten up. We don't have to give the municipality any face now. Likewise, the municipality won't give us any face. If you enter the store, you will get 3 points from the dwarf. Do you understand? Lu Feng patted it with his hand. Touching his shoulder, he said, whoever is invincible in the world will give face to everyone. But we can't even see anyone, Feng Xiao couldn't bear his emotions. How do you deal with it in Xiangjiang? Lu Feng asked. Let's call them over there. They come to my house. That's what my dad did. Feng Xiao leaned against the wall, looked at the mottled corridor, and muttered, there's not even a stool. I'll put a stool for you. Do you believe that someone brought luggage over here to sleep? Lu Feng looked at him and said, you came here after a phone call over there, that's because your family is rich and powerful, and I'm here. In Suzhou, Huang Youwei also invited me to breakfast, and he shoved him behind his ass, and he couldn't shake it off, one time at a time. Where has Feng Xiao encountered such a suffocating thing? His face is full of displeasure. What we want now is to chase and block him. Just blocking him once is enough. Lu Feng looked around at the exits. The door of the office next door opened again, and the man came out with a thermos cup. Seeing that Lu Feng hadn't left, he said impatiently, didn't I let you guys go? What are you doing here? I'll handle it for you. It's useless if you can't handle it, go. Let's go now. I also know that when the leader sees us like this, you will be scolded. Don't worry, Lu Feng said politely. It's good to know, just be considerate and go. Lu Feng stretched out his hand and pulled Feng Xiao out. There was a flower bed outside. Lu Feng stood by the flower bed and strolled around, looking around. He walked to a corner and started to untie his pants. Feng Xiao saw him coming here, followed him, and asked, Brother Feng, what's the matter? Lu Feng glanced at him and said, can you step back? Feng Xiao walked to the side with an embarrassed look on his face. When Lu Feng was pouring water, he raised his head and saw an office in front of him. A woman in her 40s sat by the window and looked at him. She opened the window, poured out the water in the water glass, and scolded, shameless. When he was done, he closed the curtains. Lu Feng looked around, but didn't realize that he was facing a window. He hurriedly raised his pants and coughed to hide his embarrassment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 505. Basically every entrepreneur has done this kind of thing, and some people even blocked the door for a month for loans and tax exemptions. In another office, Mayor Wang looked at Lu Feng downstairs. One was the first and the other two were big. When it was about to get off work, he informed him and asked the security to get them out. When the security guard came to clear the people, Lu Feng knew that he was going to get off work, and he didn't quarrel with the security guard. He strode out of the municipal compound and waited outside the door. 10 minutes later, a black car drove out of the gate. Lu Feng saw from a distance that he was getting into the car. When the vehicle turned a corner, Lu Feng rushed up. The driver was startled and stopped in place. Are you sick? Looking for death, the driver lowered the window and cursed. Lu Feng stood in front of the car, staring at the inside of the car. Mayor Wang in the back row rubbed his head with his hands, and kept saying, "Oh, he was already tortured mad by this man. Is it hitting someone?" Lu Feng patted the front hood with his hand and shouted, "How did you drive the car? Are you blind?" Lu Feng waved to Feng Xiao while talking and asked him to come over. Feng Xiao came over. He really didn't understand why Lu Feng took such a big risk. "Lie down," Lu Feng said to Feng Xiao, "lie down under the wheel of the car." Ah, Feng Xiao was dumbfounded. "Isn't this courting death?" He shook his head and said, "I won't lie down." "Let you lie down. If he dares to press him, I'll stop talking to him." "It's all right to listen to me," Lu Feng said lightly. Feng Xiao stared at Lu Feng with wide eyes. "Good guy, it's not you who is pressing down on you. Even if such a big car is pressed over his legs, it will break. It's useless. You don't understand, this is very useful, lie down." Lu Feng had already climbed up the front cover as he spoke. The driver opened the car door scoldingly and wanted to have a theory with Lu Feng. Although Feng Xiao was not lying on the side of the wheel, he was standing in front of the car. "Go for treatment if you are humming sick. Believe it or not, I will smoke you," the driver roared. "I've beaten people, let's take a look." "The municipality beat the people," Lu Feng shouted loudly, slapped the front windshield with his hands, looking like a shrew, crying constantly, but no tears were shed. "I can't live anymore, it's too bullying, you killed me today. You hit me to death. No reason, come and see. The municipal car is going to crush us." In broad daylight, the sun has not yet set. Some people are already looking over here, and watching the show is an instinctive skill of our people. Mayor Wang couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't make such a fuss. Something big would happen if he went on like this. He stretched out his hand to open the car door and got out of the car. His face was as ugly as a pig's liver, and his whole face was twisted into one piece. "Lu Feng." Lu Feng raised his head to look at him and said, "You have to decide for me. He will kill me, this day will not end. I don't want to live anymore, let him kill me, hit me." Lu Feng took off the roof of the plane, stared at the driver's chest with his head, and kept hitting him. In that scene, the driver was about to blow his lungs out. "Isn't it a rogue? Is there such a thing as you?" Lu Feng grabbed the car door handle with one hand and said to Mayor Wang, "I'll leave my words here. If the matter is not resolved, I'll make trouble. You're a private enterprise owner anyway, can you have some face? Even a little bit is fine," Mayor Wang said with a hatred of iron, and his back molars were gnashing when he spoke. "I'm shameless, today I just want to talk about it. I helped to get the VCD, I hope the patent of this technology will stay in China. It is the hope of scientific research. The land here is not suitable for its growth. You are for yourself. Have you thought about scientific research workers?" Lu Feng asked him. "Why don't you fit in here?" "You don't fit in. If you don't fit in, who are you?" Mayor Wang scolded. "This place is not suitable for transportation, industry, and supporting facilities. Do you know how many R/U0026D personnel there are in the country? They have limited funds and are eager to develop things, but there is no hope for domestic independent innovation. VCD is like a shot in the arm. What is this? This is the hope of research and development. I can understand that you want foreign capital to enter. Have you ever thought about the consequences of attracting foreign investment if a new technology is developed? You don't want that, you just want to build an industrial base, just like those garbage industrial bases. When you build it, you will spread the word. After you build it, there will be a pile of grass. What am I doing? I am protecting this hard-won result. Smith's team is just procrastinating, don't they just want to drag me down? If you insist on pushing forward, putting pressure on President Zhang, and then making the story come true, then don't blame me for being rude. What are you doing, Mayor Wang said gloomily. If you don't do anything, you will just stab it out, and you will make trouble, Lu Feng said decisively. Shameless, you humming bastard, Mayor Wang was so angry that he wanted to beat someone, stared at Lu Feng and asked, I want you to be satisfied, right? How old are you, to satisfy you? But you can't sell it cheap, Lu Feng stared at him and shouted, if you follow my negotiation direction and get better conditions, then you will be worthy of this technology. Your conditions will scare people away. You're just afraid of others, and they're going to leave. Why? You know better than anyone else. You don't think about others at all, and you don't understand technology. You just want to attract foreign investment. This is the main direction of my work. That can't be without a bottom line. The better you talk, the more ruthless they will be. If you dare not ask for a price, they will dare to lower the price with you. I don't want to talk to you, you like to stop the car, so you stop it, I'll walk back, and, if you shout again, be careful to detain you for picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Mayor Wang walked towards the inside with a wave of his hand. Lu Feng looked at his back, took a deep breath and said, I'm here to tell you, if you continue like this, don't blame me for being rude, don't think I can't do anything about you. What to do with love? Mayor Wang said without looking back. It's fine with your words, Lu Feng said to Feng Xiao, who was squatting in front of the car, go back. On the way back, Lu Feng didn't say a word. It was more difficult to change this matter than he imagined. Feng Xiao looked at Lu Feng in the rearview mirror and whispered, Brother Feng, don't let me lie down and get off the wheel in the future. If I meet someone who is emotional, I will really push me over. It's okay, the old man and the old lady are all lying down. What are you afraid of, young people? Feng Xiao was a little speechless, but he didn't say anything. The impact on him today was still relatively big. If he was asked to do this, he would definitely leave in anger when the man in the next office appeared. Back at the hotel, Lu Feng called Huang Yowei immediately, and said on the other end, what's the matter, you actually remembered me. I just met someone and made me angry. I heard about the VCD technology recently, Lu Feng asked. Huang Yowei was instantly refreshed. This kid was going to give himself a big surprise. He said happily, why? You dug the corner of Hefei. Are you here to produce? I can't dig it, Lu Feng said with a wry smile, the municipal government here won't let go at all. Bullshit, the publicity is overwhelming, you go to dig corners, this is not digging corners, it's picking people's hats, hitting you is light, what do you think, just say it. Huang Yowei was very straightforward, Lu Feng called over. He knew that he didn't hold back his farts. Lu Feng briefly explained the matter, especially the foreign investment. I can't talk about this matter. It's okay to talk in private. If you stand up and say it, you will definitely attract criticism. There are brothers in different cities. Brothers have good things, they should be blessed, rather than stand out and say such things. Huang Yowei wondered, today I said that to others, and tomorrow someone will stand up and say that to me, what's the point? I know, don't we have experts over there? Let the experts come out and say that they are responsible for speaking. What other commentators, special writers? Huang Yowei is actually very clear about these things, he just didn't want to agree. He pondered for a long time and asked, if you got the technology, would you come here to produce? Definitely. What is the relationship between the two of us? I'll tell you about this. Lu Feng made a lot of promises, and then spit out bitterness. Huang Yowei thought for a while and said, then I will arrange it. It is my responsibility to revitalize science and technology. The two sang high profile for a long time and hung up the phone. Lu Feng took the bag and started looking for the business card of Shenzhen Vice Mayor Lu. Mr. Lu, why do you call me? If there is a happy event, there must be a happy event. The other end of the phone smiled very happily. Mixed, have you heard about VCD technology recently? Lu Feng asked. What? Mr. Lu is prying the corner? Are you going to build a factory here? Mr. Lu, as long as you come with this technology, I can give you the land, plant, and loan now, but there is a small condition that you can't do it outside. To say, you are optimistic about this place, otherwise it will not look good over there. Deputy Mayor Lu smiled. Lu Feng briefly explained the matter and smacked his lips on the other end of the phone. It was a bit difficult to handle. I will definitely go to your place to give birth. As soon as this happens, you can find some experts or something to talk about it. The other end of the phone pondered for a while and asked, Mr. Lu, you only told me about this? Why do I not believe it so much? Can I still lie to you? What are the conditions for us in Shenzhen? The only choice is to talk to me in other cities. Even if this happens, you can go. It's not for yourself, right? Lu Feng asked. Deputy Mayor Lu nodded, thinking it made sense, and said, okay, then I'll make arrangements. Lu Feng hung up the phone and started looking for He Jiali's phone number again. Feng Xiao watched him rummage through his business cards, and thought to himself, Brother Feng is a real dog. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 506. After Lu Feng called He Jiali, he was a little dazed when he sat in his seat. Feng Xiao said in a low voice, Brother Feng, you have promised so many homes, so it's hard to explain at that time, right? The one with the highest price wins. As long as the other two cities are given the right price, it's not impossible for me to go, Lu Feng said indifferently. But it will offend people, Feng Xiao reminded. Do you know how long the person in charge of a city lasts on average? Lu Feng asked, looking at him. Feng Xiao shook his head and said, I'm not from the mainland, so I don't understand this. About 3 years, some frequent transfers, even less than 2 years, I have a lot of pressure, they are even more stressed, they will get results when they go to one place, and they ask you to come, just because they think you can do things. What is going on now? The most important thing? Economics. If anyone can wave a big hand, a lot of companies will flock to them. Who is this? Lu Feng gave a thumbs up. So you don't think they dare do anything to you? If you've been in the investment promotion office for a year or two, you'll know what's going on. If you're blacker than me, if you catch a lot of them, you know that someone built 5 large tile-roofed houses with 7 or 8 cows tied in them, and hired 3 people to watch them. If you look at the door, you dare to report to large-scale farms, and you will put a lot of subsidies in your pocket. This is the age of starvation and cowardice. Feng Xiao pondered thoughtfully, as if he understood the way to make money. Lu Feng stood up and saw that he was thinking seriously, and reminded, let me tell you one more thing, in the end, the daring will die, the timid may not starve to death, you must learn to control everything, it is too late, go back and rest. Bar. Feng Xiao stood up and walked to his house. After graduation, he wanted to start a business. For his family, it was relatively easy to get 100 million yuan in startup capital. Where to start a business is the direction he has always considered. The 4 little dragons are the most popular right now. During this period of time, he walked around the mainland to have a look. It may also be influenced by Lu Feng. He actually thinks that the mainland has a great future. Today's incident made him feel that he can't do it again. The mainland is too big, and the situation in different places is different. Some are easy to deal with, some are difficult to deal with, and there are too many twists and turns. He couldn't lie under the wheel of someone else's car like Lu Feng did. Starting a business is harder than eating shit, Feng Xiao sighed, pushed open the door and went back to the house. There are 3 cities and 3 responsible persons. They are not stupid at all. They must not do things that offend people, let alone offend people in one city. What if they are transferred to Hefei next year? The next day, The three cities published headlines in the city's most official newspaper. The content was the same: congratulations to HEFI, and at the same time, they talked about their own city's industries, which could provide support for the VCD industry. Let's go hand in hand to a bright future. To sum it up in a simple sentence, I can be your little brother, provide industrial support, and jointly set up a VCD industry camp. These three headlines instantly exploded the entertainment. Since the end of the new year, people who pay a little attention to electronics, the ears of the three letters of VCD are getting cocooned. Local and provincial TV stations invite experts to interpret the changes that VCD technology will bring, especially the progress of foreign investment and business negotiations. At noon, an article titled "Don't Let the Blood and Sweat of Scientific Researchers Pave the Way for Some People to Rise, Please Give Them a Little Hope." The content is extremely spicy, and it criticizes the local municipal administration, especially in foreign investment negotiations, scientific research direction, and even the research and development funds of the Research Institute in the past few years have been transferred. Public opinion began to be out of control. Everyone understood that local leaders sold the latest technology to foreign investors for their own sake, and some people shouted that VCD technology was worth tens of billions of dollars. After Huang Yowei finished eating, he returned to the office. Secretary Kui walked in with a stack of newspapers and put it on the table. The headlines in Dongguan and Shenzhen today are similar to ours. I feel that there is a shadow of Lu Feng behind this incident. Huang Yowei picked it up and took a look. His face was a little ugly, but it was not surprising, if Lu Feng was honest. Huang Yowei would be surprised. The province called and said that we should be restrained, not to make trouble too ugly, because some industries are making trouble with brother cities. Of course, they also said that we can try to win as much as we can. Is this an admonition? This is encouragement. Huang Yowei flipped through the newspapers of the other two cities. He didn't want to fight anymore. Lu Feng had already escaped his grasp. One of these two cities is an emerging city with money and policies, but the other is poor. The jingle sounded, and several counties merged into one city, as if a pair of bare feet were not afraid of wearing shoes. But he didn't turn back the arrow when he opened the bell. He asked, and the people were still very concerned about this matter. Don't add fuel to the flames, tell the TV station that there are no hard targets, let them figure it out. Huang Yowei put the newspaper aside, always feeling uncomfortable, and wanted to call and chat with Lu Feng. He could also feel that Lu Feng was trying his best to push this matter. Regarding Lu Feng, Huang Yowei had a very clear position in his heart. This person is a good helper. Maybe he will be transferred in a year or two. If so, such a role is still needed to act as a pawn in business. Of course, he is still hoping to transfer to Shenzhen. In this way, he will be promoted first, which means that he has been focused on training, and secondly, Lu Feng is still in his hand. Be busy with you, we are not the main force in this matter. Huang Yowei waved his hand to let Secretary Kui go out, leaned back on the chair, and thought about what he had done in the past 2 years. The atmosphere in Mayor Wang's office was dignified, and his angry face was almost covered with ice, and there was a pile of newspapers on the table. Shameless, what's going on these days, why are you so shameless? He stood up angrily and wanted to pat the table, but his chest was holding his breath so hard. These bullshit experts, point and shoot, brother cities who open their mouths and shut their mouths, turn around and do this kind of thing, what a big tech discussion, talk about shit. In the morning, the province called and said that it was a good thing to be cautious about this investment and not to provoke too much reaction, said a middle-aged man. It's all this Lu Feng did. Those cities are jealous. What's the use of jealousy? Get it yourself. Chang Wang's face was twisted with anger. Now not only these 3 cities, but also some other cities have joined. There is a county called Cao County, saying that this technology is suitable for their development, and an office director in the county also called and said that they can test the water. Mayor Wang felt bitter in his heart, and when the mute Huade Huang Lian saw him, he had to open his mouth and say, "It was you who suffered. Go to Lu Feng, call him to come to me, and follow up with some discussion programs on the TV station, and conduct some popular science on such technologies, foreign capital and industries." Mayor Wang said after thinking for a while, "Don't intensify contradictions, science is the main thing." This morning, Lu Feng was in contact with Smith's team, and the other party was lazy. Today, he was more direct, wearing slippers and carrying a teacup, and sat there drinking tea all morning. At lunchtime, the two groups held their watches, stood up at one point and left. Smith held an internal meeting in the afternoon and felt that Lu Feng's changes were a bit strange. He should be the one who was anxious now. How could he seem more patient than himself? Get people from the consulting company to hold a meeting to learn about the local situation and update some materials. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a car parked downstairs in the hotel. A man in a white shirt walked down, went to the front desk and asked a question to go upstairs. The man walked to the door of Lu Feng's room, knocked on the door, and said, "Mr. Lu, are you there? I'm from the municipal government." Lu Feng's door was not open, but Feng Xiao's door was open next to him. He walked out to take a look, and found that it was the person who scolded them yesterday, and his face suddenly turned pale. "Why are you knocking on the door?" Feng Xiao stared at him and asked. The man's complexion was so pleasant that it was many times better than yesterday, and he said, "I'm looking for President Lu, and the municipal government asked him to come over. You have to be there to find him. They went to investigate, can't you? Did you make an appointment? Did you apply? Did you get a seal? Do you have a certificate? Do you have a letter of introduction?" Feng Xiao asked like a cannonball. The man looked embarrassed, but not annoyed. He hurriedly took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, stuffed it into Feng Xiao's pocket, and said, "Brother, I was wrong yesterday. We all do things for others, right? Why bother? Just run an errand, and invite you to dinner when you have time another day. If you have anything to do in the future, just say hello to the brothers, it's easy to say." Feng Xiao took out his cigarette and looked at it. Before he could speak, Lu Feng's door opened. He looked at the man and prepared to close the door. The man was also quick-witted, put one foot in, and blocked the door. "Mr. Lu, I'm just a messenger. You don't need to embarrass me. The city wants you to come." "I'm busy, I'm very busy today, let's do it another day." Lu Feng looked at him and said. "What are you busy with?" "Sleep, put your feet back, don't blame me for breaking it for you." Lu Feng opened the door, ready to close it vigorously. He was so frightened that he hurriedly retracted his foot. Feng Xiao saw that he had closed the door, snorted coldly, turned around and closed the door. After the man went back, he reported it truthfully. Mayor Wang was sitting in the office, sinking like water. He was not so angry anymore, because he felt it, and if he continued to be angry with Lu Feng, he would be easily killed. "He's the master, he won't come, I'll go." Mayor Wang stood up and took his coat off the hanger, and said, "Get ready for the car and go to the hotel." Just as he was about to leave, the phone on the table rang. Mayor Wang answered the phone and said, "Which one?" "Provincial Commerce Office. We have invited many experts to conduct research and judgment on the introduction of foreign capital in VCD. We believe that the price is indeed low. Come to a meeting tomorrow and discuss it at that time." "Okay. I accept criticism and must correct it." After saying a few words, he hung up the phone. Mayor Wang stood there in a daze. This thing may really be yellow. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 507. It is already 5 o'clock, the sun is setting west, and a golden sun hangs diagonally above, exuding warm sunshine, and the air is filled with the smell of spring. Warming up is the theme for the next few months. The weather is good today, the streets are full of people, and the clothes are quite mixed. The young people have changed into single clothes, and the older ones are still tightly wrapped. Mayor Wang got out of the car and followed the secretary to the elevator. Lu Feng was half lying on the rattan chair in the room, swaying. The phone was on the speakerphone, and there was a tinkling sound over there. Is the medicine ready? If you can't drink it, prepare a spoonful of white sugar. After you drink it, put the sugar in your mouth and you won't feel nauseous anymore, Lu Feng suggested. I vomited yesterday and wasted some medicine. I am the one who suffers. Zhang Xiaoyan's voice was a little helpless. Dad, I want to eat big crabs. Dad doesn't have any big crabs here, only a big hammer for you. Do you want to eat it? Lu Feng said weakly while lying there. Dad, let me tell you, there is a big hole at the end of the village. I saw a rabbit. Can you catch a rabbit for me? Grab a hammer. No matter what Duo said, Lu Feng always said the hammer. The little guy was making a fuss at home with a few children and was kicked out by Zhang Xiaoyan. I called the manager yesterday. The factory has resumed production. After the 15th day, I will send Duo back. Can you rush back to Shenzhen? If it doesn't work, I will go back. The needles have been getting better these days. It's taking medicine, Zhang Xiaoyan said to Lu Feng while looking at the fried medicine. It's a little troublesome for me, let's talk about it later. The two were chatting about their parents, when there was a knock on the door, and a heavy voice came. Mr. Lu, it's me, Mayor Wang, can you open the door and talk for a while? The province called me, things always have to it's solved. Someone is coming, let's not talk about it. Lu Feng sat up and hung up the phone. Standing up and opening the door, seeing Mayor Wang, Lu Feng took a look and said, rare guest, shall we go to the meeting room? No, just talk for a while. Mayor Wang entered the room directly, walked to the sofa and sat down, straight to the point. You have made such a big battle, now you have succeeded, don't say those false words, be direct. What do you think, what do you want to do? I'm just raising the flag for domestic scientific research, Lu Feng said sincerely. Don't talk about this banner, you don't have that realm, and I'll give you some joy. This industry must land here, you understand, Mayor Wang said directly. Understood, I understand this very well. Lu Feng sat down and glanced at the secretary next to him. You go out and wait. The secretary turned around and went out and closed the door. The provincial commercial office called and said that the price is too low, and we need to replan. Even if you mention $30 million, you will still mess up, right? Mayor Wang asked. If it's 30 million, I really don't want to stop it, but I can be sure that if this industry is handed over to people who don't understand the domestic market, it will take less than 2 years to get slapped. So it has to be in your hands, right? Mayor Wang stared at him with burning eyes. No, I am for the industry and development. Don't tell me this, I don't even believe in punctuation. Let's talk about it. Okay, Mayor Wang said, spreading his hands, show the sincerity between people. I don't talk too much. You can license patents, there is no need to sell them. This is what I said in my heart. He can license me or invest in patents. These are all options. If you want to listen to it, then I will say. Do it. Lu Feng sat up straight and said earnestly, don't do a one-shot deal, it's too risky. Now this technology is so hot, and the market is optimistic, so I'll sell it directly. If the market explodes later, you say thanks. As for I have also considered your business, and authorized me to produce shares, and the base must be here. Where is the industrial base? You don't have a factory here. Now that the factory is built, GFN Electronics debt is insolvent. I don't mean to set up a factory here, but to put the industrial area here, so that supporting production can be carried out. I can assemble and sell some products here. If you want to build an industrial base, there is still no problem. Get a big shell and put it inside. Put some side dishes, and the industries that should be driven can also be driven. Once the sales are good, the branch is the first choice. What you want is a cotton coat. Who stipulates how much cotton a cotton coat must have to be called a cotton coat? Just stuff some cotton. Let's create an industrial capital pool, and I will donate money to help local industries develop. You can tell the outside world, you have done what you need to do, but the foreign capital has not come. Director Zhang has the patent right in his own hands. He will have more choices in the future. If the market is normal, he can sell it again, although the price is not as good as it is now. But 2 rounds of money plus $1 are definitely not less than the current one-shot deal. Mayor Wang thought about it. What Lu Feng said was indeed that all 3 parties won. The problem is that he lacked a performance in attracting foreign capital. If it continues, Lu Feng will still make trouble. In a few days, there will be a meeting in the province. You're telling the truth. I'm going to a meeting tomorrow, and this week I have to settle the matter. Mayor Wang stood up and said, I have to talk to the foreign investment team. You've worked hard. Lu Feng stood up and greeted him with a smile, opened the door himself, and said, thank you for taking care of me. I'm a very easygoing person, I can say hello to anything, and GFN Electronics is developing very fast. There will definitely be industries extending here in the future. Mayor Wang did not speak, and walked towards the elevator. After the Smith team's meeting, the entire team became nervous. According to the current situation, it was very unfavorable for them. Their biggest reliance was that the local municipality wanted to introduce foreign capital. However, the public opinion is surging at the moment, and no one dares to go against the public opinion. Once it is carried out regardless, there will be people who will hold on to it. No one has many enemies. Even if this matter is strictly followed the procedure, there will be nothing else. Well, it was revealed that the price might increase. Smith reported to the company immediately, and then decided to meet Lu Feng for dinner. After 7 o'clock in the evening, Lu Feng put on a suit and tidied himself up quite delicately. Feng Xiao looked at him dressed like this and wondered, have a meal, so grand. The winner's dinner, we have already won more than half of this matter. We will wait for the meeting tomorrow. If there is no accident, they will be out. Lu Feng looked at himself in the mirror and smiled. Feng Xiao sighed secretly in his heart, this person is definitely worthy of the 4 big characters of old, treacherous and shrewd, an ironclad matter, which abruptly made him confused. In the Western restaurant, the 2 sides sat down and looked at each other. Lu Feng had a smile on his face. It was the first time they met some time ago, and such a smile hung on Smith's face. You are shameless, Smith said the first sentence. Thank you for the compliment, Lu Feng said with a smile. I heard that you have successfully promoted the municipal government, changed their minds, and will replan the investment amount. I have also communicated with the company. Even if it is $20 million, we will pay. Smith showed a deep-pocketed wealth. Look. It doesn't matter, we will ask for 30 million, 50 million, or 100 million. I think you should book air tickets in advance. Lu Feng cut the steak in front of him with a knife and fork, took a bite and said, this project is yellow. It doesn't matter, you can invest in me, GFN Electronics. Smith shook his head and said, I admit that you are a smart person. If there is no such thing, I would consider investing in you, because you are very skilled, but not now. I hope you will stay here forever. I am engaged in investment 10 years later, you are honored and may be the first person to make my investment fail. Don't say that, you will lose if you vote, for your own good. If the investment fails, I will remember you. I also hope that you will check who owns Hippic Ventures. You will know what stupid things you have done. You are offending the whole of Wall Street. Smith looking angry. Dude, you scare me that Wall Street is monolithic. It's really bullying that I have never been abroad. I don't know if Wall Street is not. If I can offend everyone on that street, then I will be the richest man in the world. Lu Feng smiled and said to him, it's all capital, don't say the word friend, lest you eat your friend's mouth and bleed. At this stage, all Smith can do is to enlarge the influence of Wall Street, threatening that if Lu Feng wants to go international, he will be radiated by Wall Street, and then he will be in trouble. Unexpectedly, Lu Feng ignored his threats at all, and the meal ended unhappy. The next day, Mayor Wang was busy going to a meeting. In the morning, he invited a lot of experts. From all aspects, it is generally believed that $23 million is a reasonable price. In terms of equity, company, investment restrictions, etc. aspects were discussed. In the afternoon, Mayor Wang held a meeting with Smith's team and talked about it. Smith thought last night that if the price was increased by $1 million to $2 million, he could agree. But this price and equity restrictions were already unacceptable to him. He stood up and said, we don't accept it. After they left, they went back to the living room. The 7 people sat down again. They all agreed that domestic companies could not make this product well, and the local municipal government could not do without them. It is the best way to take retreat as advance. Take the initiative to negotiate. There are too many such companies, and they are also very good at playing this, swaggering away, thinking that the other party will invite them back again, and then they will have the right to speak and can ask for sky-high prices. Years later, a certain foreign-funded internet company just swaggered away, thinking that it would be invited back. Unexpectedly, after the door was closed, it would never be opened for them again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 508. The electronics industry pays special attention to VCD. Many experts claim that this technology is a technology that changes the pattern of domestic household electronic products. Radio-type companies like Changhong, Konka, Panda, TCL, and even Deegan are watching the progress. The next day, Smith's team was interviewed, saying that they had left the negotiation contact, and they said that the current domestic investment environment is not good, but they are very optimistic about this technology. Welcome, come to negotiate anytime. The scolding in front was very powerful, but in the end, I left a speech for myself, and I didn't say it too deadly. In less than 2 hours, the interview newspaper was placed on the desks of the bosses of major electronics companies. Li Quanliang stood up excitedly when he saw the foreigner leaving, and said, "The opportunity is here. Mr. Li, this Lu Feng is really good at it. He has squeezed out the foreign capital," the assistant said on the side. "This person is very damaged. If you use it well, it is a sharp knife. Let me tell you, the mantis has finished catching the cicadas, and the next step is our Oriole." Li Quanliang was overjoyed. Who are the domestic manufacturers? They don't want to get the technology, they all know that it is too difficult to squeeze out foreign capital. Now that Lu Feng has gnawed the hardest bone, don't blame him for picking peaches. In Dejan's office, Mr. Zheng looked at the faxed newspaper and couldn't help but wanted to laugh. He leaned back on his chair and said with a smile, "This is our chance, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Lu Feng just wants to rely on VCD to turn over, so we can do it too. With the rise of this shareholder wind, we will expand our product lineup. Mr. Zheng, if we didn't get the patent license, will we be sued?" The executive next to him worried. I'm afraid of the accused. Even if Lu Feng gets the authorization, his costs will rise rapidly. These costs are reflected in the product price. What is the most competitive market in the market? It's the price. Mr. Zheng's mood. I couldn't say it well, so I stood up and said, relying on VCD to make a fortune, and after the cash is abundant, I will include part of GFN Electronics business into it. Mr. Zheng's mouth almost cracked at the thought of this, so cool. He suddenly remembered that after the launch of VCD, it must be a fierce battle. You need to hold your thighs in advance and follow a good big brother to have meat to eat. The thickest leg now is Changhong. I can't continue with Lu Feng, and it is easy for him to take him to the woods. Mr. Zheng thought about it, picked up the phone and called Li Quanliang. Mr. Li. Me, Xiao Zheng. Mr. Zheng's attitude is very low. Mr. Zheng, why did you call me when you remembered? I heard about the sales channel that Lu Feng was going to do during that time, and I also listened to it. Mr. Li's voice on the other end of the phone was a little teasing. I just ate a meal together and found out. What about Jiafeng Electronics? I can go with him. Lu Feng ran on foreign capital, you know, Mr. Zheng asked. I know, just after reading the newspaper, Mr. Zheng has an idea. This is a good opportunity. Things like radios and tape players are the main business of our company. For Changhong, they are a branch. My idea is to buy them back and dismantle them once they are on the market, and then imitate them. Pressure. Mr. Zheng explained his thoughts again, which was exactly what Li Quanliang wanted, and the two of them hit it off. After Smith's team got out of contact, Lu Feng contacted the municipality for the first time, and negotiated a general framework in private, adopting a patent licensing model and investing in technology patents. To put it simply, Lu Feng didn't have to spend a penny, and giving President Zhang half of the equity was equivalent to empty gloves. As for the municipal side, production is located in the new Dongguan factory, mainly producing motherboards. An empty shell can be built here for assembly, but it is publicized that this is the VCD production base. What Mayor Wang wanted, Lu Feng gave him everything. As for what happened after he was transferred, it didn't matter to him. At the same time, in July, Lu Feng will donate no less than 5 million funds to establish the VCD Industry Foundation, which will be managed by the municipal government and contribute to supporting the development of local industries. There are a lot of thin rules and regulations, and Lu Feng also promised that if VCD builds a branch, it must choose a local area. After exiting the municipal gate, Lu Feng couldn't help but smile on his face, looking at Feng Xiao with joy. After all, he had changed the direction of history. Feng Xiao is also very happy. These days have been very tormented. It can be regarded as a rainbow after the rain. Put the smile away, don't be so shy, we have to go to the hospital to see President Zhang and tell him the sad news. Puh ha 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 ha, don't laugh, be sad. Lu Feng himself couldn't help laughing. Feng Xiao laughed even more, tears came out, squatted on the ground and rubbed his face. Brother Feng, you are too damaged, really. I'm good for him too. Ha 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 ha, Feng Xiao coughed with a smile, and said, people are still expecting you to negotiate a high price, but you just broke it. In my hands, I promise to manage it well for him. Do you believe this? Lu Feng asked very seriously. I believe, Feng Xiao nodded solemnly. Let's go to the hospital to see him. Pay attention to controlling your emotions, don't laugh. Ha 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 ha. The more Feng Xiao thought about it, the more happy he became. If Mr. Zhang knew about this process, he would probably have the heart to kill Lu Feng. A very trusted brother, he worked very hard to mess up his affairs. Along the way, Lu Feng was very serious and told him not to laugh at that time. The car stopped at the gate of the city hospital. Lu Feng took a deep breath, his face sank, and there was a bit of guilt in his eyes, looking like he was fast. Like crying. Feng Xiao watched him take a few deep breaths and exclaimed, Brother Feng, you have to untie your pants when you take them off. You are much faster than taking off your pants. Shut up, don't laugh for a while, let's go, Lu Feng said in a low voice, picking up a fruit basket in his hand and entering the door. In the separate ward on the third floor, Mr. Zhang seemed to be in good spirits. He didn't read newspapers or answer the phone these days, and he seemed to be reborn. His wife sat next to him and pushed aside an orange and said, "You are also big-hearted, and you will leave it to outsiders to deal with it, and you are not afraid of pitting you. People are professional, so leave professional things to professional people. It's complicated here, you don't understand." President Zhang took the orange and said, "My brother, he's a good person, there's absolutely no problem." Brother Zhang Kao, shut up brother, you are an intellectual, and it's like water is mooring Liangshan. Lu Feng walked to the door of the room and knocked on the door. President Jiang's wife raised her head and glanced at it. She came over to open the door and asked, "Who are you looking for?" "I'm looking for President Zhang," Lu Feng said. "He's not in good health and can't see guests, sorry." Mr. Zhang turned his head and saw Lu Feng, got out of bed in a hurry, and said, "This is Mr. Lu, let him in, brother, how are you talking?" Lu Feng entered the room and looked at President Zhang with an embarrassed expression. He opened his mouth to speak, but he didn't say it, but there was an indescribable guilt deep in his eyes. Although he didn't say a word, Mr. Zhang already knew everything. Feng Xiao stood by and pursed his lips, and kept telling himself in his heart that he must not laugh, and he must not laugh. "It's all right, it doesn't matter if the price can't be raised, I know you are very tired, sit down," President Zhang said politely. "Brother, I feel guilty, I'm sorry for you." Lu Feng's lips were shaking, he took a breath, and said, "You trust me so much, but I made things like this." "It's all right, anything is fine, I'm grateful if you could help me." President Zhang comforted Lu Feng and said, "Don't blame yourself, what's the price? Will you die?" "It's like this." Lu Feng sorted out his emotions and said, "I will argue on your behalf, but the municipal government won't allow it, for fear of scaring the foreign capital away. After working for several days, I blocked the door again. It's another car blocking, and finally Mayor Wang's job is done. The price in my heart is $20 million US. The other party made some concessions in the company's equity. I didn't expect that. When the municipal government saw that they really paid this money, I wanted to make more points. Let me continue to talk, and I will play the limit. That set of pressure will cost 30 million. Who knows that I will annoy the other party. When I see that the price is not enough, I quickly renegotiate. The municipal government wants to rely on this price. It is useless for me to do all kinds of work." In the end, the negotiation broke down, and President Feng also resorted to this. "We tried our best to find a relationship with the United States and directly find the head office. It even used the influence of President Feng's father." Lu Feng looked at Feng Xiao after saying that. "Yes, I called my father. He is more familiar with the company over there. I want to give the opportunity to talk more," my father said. Feng Xiao couldn't hold back any longer, and hurriedly shut his mouth. Covering his hands, he wanted to laugh when he thought of his dad talking about this. How could it be? What's up with him? He feels sorry for you. Lu Feng stood up and stretched out his hand to push him out, and said, "Go outside and cry." After Lu Feng came back, he looked at President Zhang and said, "It's all my fault. It's already like this. I feel very sorry for you. I'll compensate you." "No, I already feel very sorry for letting you work in vain. I still charge you money." "Do I still have the face?" Mr. Zhang firmly refused. "The most troublesome thing right now is this technology. It's a pity to keep such a good thing there," Lu Feng muttered in a low voice. "How can we let it go? We didn't agree at that time. If foreign capital doesn't invest, you can invest, Mr. Lu. I'm very relieved to leave it to you," Mr. Zhang said seriously. "No way," Lu Feng stood up and waved his hand. "It seems that I am trying to acquire technology, so I am talking about collapse. There are many domestic companies that want to invest. You should talk to those companies first. My brothers have told you. It's for you." Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 509. President Zhang was naturally in a bad mood. He still had very high hopes for Lu Feng, but after waiting for so many days, he got such an answer. "I'll leave it to you to do it. This thing has made me a lot of trouble. I'm still not suitable for business, I'm suitable for doing my own things." Zhang sighed, and looked a little haggard in an instant. "I really can't do it, I messed it up for you, I turned around and I took over, then what did I become? Am I still human?" "President Zhang, you must apply for the patent right, you can sell the license, I will give you the bottom line here. 50 million yuan is invested in production, you don't have to pay a penny, you have 50% of the dry shares, and the patent rights are still in your hands, this is what I will give you. If someone is higher than this condition, you can talk to him, understand?" Lu Feng looked at him and said sincerely. "Didn't I say 150 million originally, how did it become 50 million? Mrs. Jiang's wife spoke up and complained, "You are not professionals, you just lost 2/3. Do you understand business? Don't talk nonsense." President Zhang looked at Lu Feng and said, "I still want to thank you, the business road is twisty, there are many routines, and I am a little scared, I know you didn't do this on purpose. The situation, you are also good for me." "Ashamed. Ashamed," Lu Feng sighed. Lu Feng comforted him for a while, and told him very firmly, let him go outside to see the domestic prices first, if he really can't find him again, even if he loses 50 million, it has nothing to do with him, the patent the right is also in his hands and can be sold again. After Lu Feng left, President Jiang's wife sat there with a gloomy face and said, "I see that President Lu is young and doesn't look like a good thing. Don't say a few words, you are a teacher, what do you know?" President Zhang said rudely. "The original 150 million, what a high price, can actually be negotiated. I will tell you, just agree directly, and the money will be secure. The 150 million is for you. It is an investment company, I have a share in it, and the patent rights are also owned by the company, which is also risky. If you can't get a penny, I will give you 100 million. 50 million to buy your patent rights, what are you dreaming about?" President Zhang refuted. "My woman's intuition tells me that this Lu Feng is not a good thing." "You just rely on your intuition." President Zhang stood up and packed his things and said, "Discharge from the hospital." The two packed up their things and went home muttering all the way. At any time, foreign capital retreated, domestic capital and scammers swarmed, and some people even waited in the downstairs of his house, claiming that they were a powerful company. The opening is $1 billion. Mr. Zhang did not learn much during this period of time. He didn't ask the other party what company or how much money he had, just one. The patent was licensed for 10 years, and he brought tens of millions over, and signed the contract with the first hand. The other party talked to him about the cooperative company, production prospects, etc., but Mr. Zhang ignored it. As for the cooperative company, it is not impossible. The current company's registered capital is based on subscription, and the money is subscribed and then discussed. In 2 days, all kinds of people with empty gloves and white wolves took turns to go into battle. There are really many liars these days, and they don't care if they succeed or not. When they come, they will just follow the same set of words. That. Mr. Jiang's heart is tired. They are all liars or small companies. Many people who are really interested in VCD and are ready to produce do not contact him. People just wait for a fool to buy it, then produce it, buy the product back, dismantle it, and then pirate it. This is the way the social atmosphere is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. For 2 days, Lu Feng stayed in the hotel, most of them called Zhang Xiaoyan, and also inquired about the company's sales and the progress of the media company. The media company has been registered, and the first batch of stars has been negotiated to introduce to the mainland. A dubbing studio has been established in Beijing to cooperate with the studio to dub Hong Kong films. The introduction of some music copyrights is also accelerating. Seeing that Lu Feng had not moved for the past 2 days, Feng Xiao knocked on the door and walked in, asking, "Brother Feng, aren't you afraid of being robbed?" Grab. Those who really want to rob are already gearing up, but not now, but after the production, the domestic copyright atmosphere has been broken, and it is impossible without more than 10 years of strengthened supervision and policies. Having said that, I'm not in a hurry. What I'm worried about now is the municipal administration, Lu Feng said casually. Municipality, Feng Xiao was a little puzzled. It is indeed a municipal administration. Now that foreign investment has withdrawn, they must implement this matter this year. When other domestic companies see that foreign investment has withdrawn, they are naturally not in a hurry and are waiting for prostitution. It's like a girl who was dismissed from her marriage, thinking that a bunch of people were rushing to marry her, but she squatted next to a bunch of crooked melons and cracked dates. Not only did she not give dowry, but she wanted more dowry. Looking at it this way, Lu Feng, the matchmaker, seems to be very suitable. Mayor Wang has already negotiated with Lu Feng in private, and now he wants to persuade President Zhang. President Zhang also wants Lu Feng to take over, but Lu Feng makes 3 pushes and 5 concessions. In the office, Mr. Zhang was sitting across from him, and he seemed to be in a bad mood. The Mayor Wang was smoking a cigarette and persuaded, "The foreign capital has already left, so let's pass some things in the past. You have also seen the situation in China. You have also come into contact with a lot in the past 2 days, all of them are liars. I think GFN Electronics is good, what do you think?" I said it the other day. President Lu felt that the matter was broken. He didn't agree. He felt sorry for me. President Zhang sighed and picked up the cigarette on the table. When Mayor Wang heard this, he took a breath and coughed. Lu Feng still didn't want to. This person is really, he is a watchman and an archway. He is angry, but he doesn't dare to tell President Zhang. It can't be said that we have negotiated privately and sold you. Mr. Lu is a good person. He is also for your good. I didn't expect this to happen. This project must be implemented as soon as possible and cannot be delayed. You know him well. He is really a good partner, Wang Shilong advised. I agree. What are you persuading me to do? You persuade him. I'm really tired of being tossed about this. Go and tell President Lu. He feels indebted to me when he sees me. Maybe it's better for you to come forward. After Mr. Zhang finished speaking, he stood up and said, "I'm back at the institute." Mayor Wang looked at his back and sighed. He was also stupid. In fact, he couldn't be blamed for being stupid. He could only say that Lu Feng was too shrewd. He has always shown the image of taking his own life to protect him. Picking up the phone on the table, Mayor Wang called Lu Feng. Lu Feng was half lying on the rattan chair, picked up the phone and said, "Who is it?" "My Mayor Wang," Director Zhang agreed. "Do you want to keep pretending and sign the contract in a few days or tomorrow?" Mayor Wang asked. "Tomorrow, so as not to have too many dreams at night. Then tell the truth to President Zhang. You say that you persuaded for a long time. Let's hold a signing ceremony, hold a media meeting, you go up and say a few words, you should be decent." Yes, Lu Feng thought to himself. Don't worry, these things are arranged. The next day, it was officially announced that the VCD technology had been invested in GFN Electronics, which immediately caused an exclamation, and the smart people had already realized that all this was Lu Feng's way of playing. He Jiali and Deputy Mayor Lu were very happy. Only Huang Youwei left the newspaper after reading the newspaper. The signing ceremony was held that afternoon. In fact, before that, various stages, publicity drafts, and industrial foundation sites were arranged. It was like a wedding. Except for the groom, everything else was arranged. The slogan on the stage on the background wall is the name of the foreign company. Due to the lack of time, the staff made a patch and posted the words GFN Electronics. There were a lot of media at the scene. Lu Feng was sitting in the first row, next to Mr. Zhang, and the two chatted quietly. "Mr. Lu, I really don't understand business. If I don't have that talent, I won't bother about the company's internal affairs," Zhang said like an eggplant beaten by frost. "Don't worry, I can give you dividends every year. The company's total output value is half of yours, so you can still lose money as a brother." Lu Feng patted him on the shoulder and comforted, "Leave it all to me." Mayor Wang stood on the stage and explained a lot of things in the past, which can be regarded as a response, and also explained why he chose GFN Electronics. After an hour's speech, he was spitting, and finally it was Lu Feng's turn to take the stage. Lu Feng looked at the crowd and said, "First of all, I would like to pay tribute to the scientific research workers across the country. I firmly believe that this technology is only the breakthrough point. In the next few years, there will be 100 flowers blooming. GFN Electronics is particularly honored to be able to obtain the patent authorization of Mr. Zhang. GFN Electronics will continue to serve the people with high quality, low price, and sincerity into thousands of households." After talking about a lot of scenes, but also revealed a key news: the price of VCD produced by GFN Electronics will not be very expensive, and then talked about the industrial base. After the speech was completed and the signing was eased, GFN Electronics, the municipal government, and Zhang Zong all signed the contract, exchanged texts with each other, shook hands, and there was applause at the scene. Lu Feng wanted to start as soon as possible. President Zhang needs to go to the R/U0026D company to hand over all the design drafts and tell Liukin the core things. The R/U0026D company is in terms of appearance, packaging, supply chain, etc. design and negotiate as soon as possible. After returning to the hotel after dinner, Lu Feng called Lu Chang, Zhang Fengxia, Zhu Lidong, and others. The next month or two must focus on VCD. Let Feng Xiao set a flight ticket to Suzhou the next day, and Lu Feng needs to go back to take charge of the overall situation. Once the product is launched, a lot of problems such as the cities that need to be sold, the per capita purchasing power, plagiarism, and piracy will come to the fore. Mr. Zheng and Mr. Li were on the phone, and the conversation was nothing more than that after the product was produced, it was taken back for dismantling as soon as possible, and at the same time, the VCD of GFN Electronics was blocked in major markets. The content of the chat is very detailed, the hardware is already available, and we talked about a lot of software. Mr. Zheng believes that at the price of VCD, the purchasers should be the middle and upper class in the society. Content creation should focus on high-end things, such as foreign symphonies, waltzes, ballroom dancing, aerobics, or high-quality movies, which have something to do with art.